Welcome back, everybody. Aria, Leo, and Eli, if you're watching, hello. Anybody else that has obviously joined us for this journey, welcome. What I'm going to be looking at today is a video that has been requested quite a few times. Now, first off, I have to apologise. I haven't been uploading as much lately. 3 children, full-time jobs. Sometimes it just gets way too hectic for me to be able to get a video up. But thank you very much to everybody that has been replying or sending comments through, and especially to those who are subscribing. That's really awesome. Didn't expect it to take off like this, but definitely grateful that according to the comments, there's some people that kind of either agree with what I'm saying or are saying that, the messaging is good. So that's great. So Sinful Passion is what we're going to be covering today by Dimash. This is a fantastic song. This is an awesome song. I've actually been kind of looking forward to covering this one. So as per usual, is the deal. We will go to the intro and then we'll come on back. So welcome back, everybody. Let's just kick straight into it, eh? Yeah. So this is Dimash. This is Sinful Passion.
Ты явилась нежданно, как из лунного сна. О, если б знала ты, что мне нужна, только ты одна. Линии долгие лили, были ночи без сна, но в стуже сердце озарило, как весна, только ты одна.
That drop, right? The drop. Just fantastic how he, gets underneath the note. He's really good at getting underneath notes and creating a sound there. Absolutely fantastic. A really big mix of that lower register and then moving easily, into the mid registers. Haven't really heard him go too high yet, but it's that soft and loud in the way that they balance each other out. Starts deep in the note and then lifts it up a bit. Absolutely fantastic. Once again, as we've already discussed, just mastery of the ability to sing. Let's get going.
Долгим огнем пылать во мгле им ненастье. Дай мне ночью и днем сгорать в костре грешной страсти.
Oh, that very resonant, deep, kind of powerful note, really talks about, I think, the desire of the song, right? How much he wants it. It's a very, like we talked about in other videos, there's soft and there's hard energies. It's a very hard energy, a desiring energy, right? I want this thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
В костре грешной страсти.
see as the kind of lyrics kind of change through the song. And I would advise that you watch this song via Gloria Wu's channel with the subtitles turned on. But the tone of the entire piece changes when he lifts up into those higher registers. Just so soft, It's been really loud and deep and punchy and, really desiring, kind of low notes. And now we're moving into that softer tone where we kind of talk more about maybe the other side of the coin. Let's have a look. In terms of, right, this person desiring something, maybe we're seeing it from the other angle now.
Забыты звуки, руки, лица. Мне нужна только ты одна. Околдован тобою.
Man, just came in there, didn't he? And just took it. It sounds so bad, but he did. Just that violin was just hammering out its last note, a very kind of mid-level note, and then just boom, he just punches in and just really kind of wakes you up and brings you to attention.
Выпью зелье до дна. И ты вернешь меня из бездны в этот мир.
Okay, so see how he uses his whole body and his gestures to really deliver, I will drink that potion to the bottom. And he's also, there's this harder desiring kind of commanding part, the low kind of, I want parts of it. And then there's these lighter parts that are very much about, please, give me what I want. If you don't give me what I want, then I'm going to drink this potion to the bottom. It's these two separate kinds of energies, right? Like we've been talking about, this hard energy, want, and then the softer energy of pleading, please. Come on, like just you can feel the dance, right? You can feel the sway as he's delivering that lovely part, which he does in so many of his songs, and you listen out for it, right? You're sitting there waiting for him to get operatic and really start to stretch these notes and explore his voice and see what he can do with it, and then just, man, hammers it right up the top, crystal clear. And I've noticed that at the end of those notes, there are a lot of people that kind of hold the note until it thins out and disappears. But he prefers to end it by crashing the note off. So, it's a real kind of a lift the note up and then he just smashes it at the end. Go back and have a listen. You'll see what I mean. I mean, if you didn't, get this picture in your mind, even if you come from another part of the world. When you hear that music, right, you're instantly transported to an exotic place. And most people will go, maybe Arabia or something like that, popularity of Aladdin and movies like that kind of take you there. And then you've got, I don't know, Middle Eastern countries, a lot of them with the way that he was singing and utilizing that the bounce. Now, because you can't see him in the video, I can't tell if he's actually doing that or if that was done by an effect. But either way, you're either talking about somebody who's got fantastic musical agility and is very well trained at using their larynx to make that noise, or you're talking about somebody that artistically has requested that it happen in order to provide a certain feel to the song. And then you've got that note, but it's just fantastic. It's again, it's very reminiscent of those exotic places. And so it feels like because that's what we're talking about, really passionate song, right? Hard and soft, desire and the pleading of something. And then it just comes together, to create this, give me, what I want, but give it to me in this fantastic and wonderful environment. So many different ways to be passionate and to show that you are passionate. And this song, to me, really kind of covers all of those highs, lows, and in-betweens of what it means to feel passion. Oh, surely he breathed there near the end, but that was a long run. That was a huge run. Even though the volume on it kind of tapers down, if you're listening careful, you can still hear the run going in the background. Somebody out there, you must know the length of that particular, right through the rise all the way up to. Now that was a high crescendo note, wasn't it? That was wow. Just when you think that somebody can't push an envelope, he just goes, no, that doesn't really exist. Here you go. Here's the note that you're looking for. Hits it, and then just dances his way back down. And then as he's coming down, he just keeps running. And then there's a moment where I'm pretty certain that he stops, and then he tapers off for a bit here. I'm thinking we might be close to the end. So that guy there just at the end, that was his normal pianist that I normally see on stage with him, and he's just soaking all that in, isn't he? I mean, they're all there for him. He's provided this fantastic performance as well. He should soak it in. And, I mean, his band, imagine the pressure being involved in that kind of a band. Like you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, I'm here to play a bit of music. This guy comes along, does his thing, during rehearsal, you're like, wow, okay. But they're so professional, they stay right on top of it, their timing's spot on, obviously. It just all comes together to create such a fantastic song. And it doesn't so much raise many questions or many things for us to cover, not anything that won't quickly steer itself towards the R18 section of YouTube. But I guess one thing that we can call out with this, and again, this is just going over for the third time, the idea of hard and soft, the desire to have things and the pleading about wanting things, and how those two energies kind of come together. But again, they're kind of, some similar sides of a coin, really, aren't they? I can't say they're two opposite sides of a coin, but they're two similar sides of a coin. And passion is something that can quickly run out of control if you're not keeping a check on yourself about how it's being utilized. And it depends on what you're passionate about, yeah? Obviously, passion can lead to some biochemical reactions by a person that results in them doing things that they probably normally wouldn't, right? So jealousy is a good example of some kind of passion that turns to obsession. The idea of wanting something but being powerless to get it and having that sorrow overtake you. These are all things that we need to be really careful of. I've experienced a lot of those kinds of feelings throughout my lifetime, kids. I really have. I don't think you'll meet a single person really who hasn't had some kind of an emotional roller coaster to do with these kinds of things. Unless, of course, we're talking about people that just don't feel emotions the same way as others do. But it can quickly get out of hand. You can find yourself wanting something that's not necessarily good for you. You can find yourself desiring something simply for the fact that everybody has it and you don't. What people typically lose perspective of really quickly in this world is the idea of being grateful for what you have. Life gets hard. Many things come at you in life, and they don't pull punches. They don't slow down. Life doesn't just take a break because you require a break. My suggestion for dealing with this kind of an emotional problem that can occur is that I've found that in your life, without a purpose or an ideal that you hold within your mind that you are constantly striving for, then you will find it hard when you are challenged in various ways. And when I talk about purpose, and utilizing it as a yardstick by which you can control other sets of emotions, I mean things like what I like to do is I like to have a blue sky plan, right? So my blue sky plan really is to leave the world a better place than when I came in, if possible. So go out there, touch some people's lives, make some changes, be brave about some choices, and be of worth if you can. And then I've got kind of like a mid goal and there, or a horizon goal I got. So that's your blue sky goal. My horizon goal is more about helping children in the circumstances that surround children. And the reason for that is that while I've never been a person that has gone out of my way to be around children or enjoy my time with children, children seem to innately trust me and they seem to inherently want to spend a lot of time around me. And having you three obviously has just completely turned my world upside down. And you quickly realise that the reason that governments get concerned with countries where their population is in reverse, right, where they're not having as many children anymore, is because of the fact that you don't have people to keep the parts of the machine running. And it's a terrible reason, to kind of go out there and say, hey, have more kids so we can keep this, this machine feeding itself. And hopefully we can work together to the point where that kind of thought is no longer required. right? Where you sit there and think to yourself, we just need more people to feed the machine. What we should be thinking about is what kind of an impact our children are going to have on our planet, and how are we going to equip them to make better choices than we made, so that the song that is life can continue, right? Because children really are the future, obviously, and the better that we can equip them practically and emotionally, the better off the entire planet's going to be. So that's my horizon goal, is to try and do that as best I can. And then from there, it's all about how. How can I manage that? And there's a technique, or there's a few techniques you look up online about how to go about setting goals. But what I like to do is I like to say, well, what kind of a reality do I need to live in where I can begin to do that thing? And you really do need to look after yourself, have your house and everything to do with you on lockdown, and you need to have that purpose and goal. And sometimes you're going to require that purpose and goal to be really defined, and sometimes just a blue sky. So for instance, my really defined goal at the moment is to obviously reducing the overheads that I have in my life to the point where I can look after my family in the way that they need, so that, and then from there build more time in my life. And the reason that I want time is so that I can do things like this, right? Because in the end, sometimes you've just got to pick something up, and you've just got to throw it out to the universe and go, here. Here's a few words, here's a few sentences, here's a couple of things that I'm thinking right now. Because we've never had this before. We've never been able to touch each other in this way before. So we really should be using it for the good things that it can do, right? Trying to minimize all of the rest of the dross that comes along with it. So kids, set yourselves some goals. Use those yardsticks. Think to yourself, I'm going to save all of the marine life in the world. And then I'm going to become a, what do they call it? I don't know, an aquatic engineer. I'm going to become a scientist in that field. Sorry, the actual term for it escapes me. And then from there, how do I get there? Well, I've got to go to university. Well, how am I going to get to university? Well, I've got to take these steps. Well, do I want to go there straight after high school? Ask these questions not only of yourself, but we are going to ask these questions of you too, to make sure that you have goals set up. It's really important. Yeah. And then you use those goals, you use those yardsticks in order to control when emotions are running amok in your life. It's great to be able to logically think through situations and give logical and brilliant answers to problems, but sometimes you need to have a steady kind of an emotional reaction or response in order to get a job done. And sometimes that's hard when you're talking about passion and you've been overridden by these feelings that are kind of overpowering you. You have to have that yardstick. You know, oh my God, I really, really love this person. I'm not getting out of bed. I can barely think. I stay up all night. Hey, you know, you're meant to be aiming for this. So let's break this down. So what's the clearest next thing that I need to do that I'm not doing now? Well, I actually need to get more sleep. How do I go about doing that? And there's many ways that you can try. You know, I'm not going to list them all here, but there are. You can meditate. You can get, an advisement from your doctor. You can get sleeping medication or you know, purchase drinks to help yourself to sleep. But realizing that you are breaking one of these rules that you have in place in order to keep going for your goals, that's a big deal. I remember I asked my dad once why people have fences. If you don't have a dog, why do you have a front yard fence? I mean, surely that just stops you from... It can't be so that you don't run out into traffic and get hit by cars. I mean, you just kind of pay attention to your surroundings. And Dad said to me that fences are there as that extra level of deterrence for burglars, right? People that want to break into your house. They look at your house and they see a fence. They look at that house and they don't see a fence. They're going to go there first. And it's a similar thing here, putting up little roadblocks in your life that trip those emotions up and try to reset your brain into a proper frame of thought. So, you've got all this desire, you've got all this want, and it's starting to mess with your life. And then the idea of having a plan, and I'm aiming for that, is just a little fence that could possibly trip those emotions up and kick you back in. And without purpose, without enough of these fences in place, then basically your mind just goes, well, what's the point? I'm not doing anything. I'm not going anywhere. And then those feelings begin to build. And then you feel guilty. And then you feel resentment. And then you can no longer see a way out. The doors begin to close. The walls close in. And life gets really hard. So just put up those little fences. Help yourself. And then if you do still find that passion rules you, and you need some advice, good friends, good close friends, and family, call one of us. We will always answer. I think that's a good place to leave it. So that was Dimash. Sinful Passion. Something else. This guy's such a talent, right? We're going to keep going with Dimash, but pretty soon I'm going to be sending out a couple of videos more to do with Morissette and also to do with Chinyuhua, I'm looking at, and Sohyang. They have some fantastic music that I'm going to be covering. So please, Ari, Leo and Eli, I love you. And everybody else that's along for the journey, take care. And we'll see you next time.